Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Ipshita Bansal from BPS Women's University, Sonipat, Haryana. Today we will be discussing about the module Management by Consciousness of the paper Indian Perspectives on Human Quality Development. By the end of this module, students will be able to appreciate the phenomenon of management by consciousness and understand the Indian perspective of soulful management. The term management is coined by mixing a few words, that is man, age, ment. It means man from ages used to mend the things for their comfort. This is one of the interpretations. In ancient times, they lived in caves for shelter. They hunted animals for food. This was the beginning of management for self. It is how man always managed the things according to situations. He sensed, reflected, planned, exercised, and obtained things for survival and progress. With time, he learned to manage more and more in a better and better way. There is no management without man. It is an effort of man for the man and for humanity. The president of a big multinational company was once asked about what he manufactured, built or produced. On this he replied, "I do not manufacture automobiles, nor do I produce shoestrings. I build only men, because my men do these things." This reply by the president speaks a lot about the role of man and his consciousness in the management system. The consciousness is required in any activity performed by human beings. There is a straight connection between person's inner thoughts, feelings, and the outer circumstances of his life, as the outer circumstances are the expansion of the inner consciousness expressed in an open way. If the consciousness flows in individual, it leads to the betterment of human activity and provides synergy to the society at large. Management by consciousness, management with a difference. There is a direct relation between person's inner thoughts, feelings, and outer works. Therefore, to manage the outer world better, it is important to manage the consciousness first. It can be acquired by faith, dedication, and introspection. The world can be developed by developing one's consciousness. Our inner values hang the outer plan. It is a pair of green glasses mounted on your vision to see green all around, said Sri Aurobindo. Thus, consciousness is the inner aspect of life. The willpower can make the consciousness effective. Management with a difference. Yogananda said that learn to keep your will strong, a calm will, not a nervous will, and your body will then be full of energy. It is by the power of will that you bring energy into the body and utilize it. If the top management can follow the positive approach to develop their consciousness, the organization can have a rapid growth by developing the environment of honesty, integrity, and selflessness. The perfect decision making can be done by realizing the consciousness and by giving a silent thought, as in absolute silence rests an absolute power. The Gandhian Way. Gandhi was able to do a detailed inspection of his own conscience and had said, "What a good thing is silence. The joy one derives from silence is unique. How good it will be if everyone observed silence for some time every day. Silence is not for some great men. I know that whatever one person is able to do can be done by everyone, given the effort. There is a saying amongst us that through silence everything can be achieved. There is much truth in this saying. Gandhi began to grow his consciousness by introspection and analysis. He did not blindly accept everything that his culture and religion taught him. He consciously reflected, introspected, and accepted what he felt to be right and rejected what he felt was morally and ethically wrong. Gandhi developed his conscience by reflecting on his experiences. He regularly examined his life, his experiences, his standards, and his values. He observed one day of silence per week, spent time with nature, and spun charkha, which was also a form of meditation. In this way, he cultivated his inner peace and could thus listen to his conscience with greater clarity. He believed, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. Let's also talk about management by materialism, which is a Western approach. Approach of the West is to earn more and more profit, and so the lust of profit can be seen all around. Now, management by materialism has won fancy of poor and developing countries of the world as well. The Western approach of management pays much emphasis on man as a worker. There is no feeling of togetherness. Management and workers are working as separate entities. The management wants to pay as little as possible and wants more and more work to be done. On the other hand, the worker wishes to work less and less and wants to earn higher and higher. The common approach is lost between worker and the management. Their slogan is joint venture, but their interests and actions are diverse, differing, and conflicting. The Western management considers employees as workers and the man stands nowhere. So that management is management without soul. Man is treated just as a rented person who is paid and rewarded till he works. The day he is not fit enough to give his services, he is replaced. As a consequence, there is no bonding at workplace, which results in conflicts, violence, absenteeism, strikes, and suffering for all. This type of management has done more harm than good. The human values are lost and the crisis of alienation prevails. Thus, it is clear that the materialistic management of West is just a soulless management. This type of management has done more harm than good. The human values are lost and the crisis of alienation prevails. Thus, it is clear that the materialistic management of West is just a soulless management. And unfortunately, this type of management is taking over in India also. So, we have to be cautious and take proactive steps in this regard. Towards soulful management. The caution of Sri Aurobindo is worth quoting here. He said, "Do not dream that when thou hadst get rid of material poverty, men will ever be so happy or satisfied, or society freed from ills, troubles and problems. This is only the first and lowest necessity. While the soul within remains defectively organized, there will always be outward unrest, disorder, and revolution. Therefore, the need is of non-attachment from the material desires. As Yogananda said, As the swan can swim through muddy waters with its feathers remaining unsoiled, so should you live in this world by coating the mind with the oil of moderation. And this is how these steps will lead towards soulful management. Indian perspective of soulful management. Any employee from whichever category he belongs is a man first or a human being first and then the worker. This is how the way of Indian management first talks about the development of human beings and not the development of mere wage earner. The human beings not only possess the outer physical body but also has emotions, concerns, priorities, affections, and thus he works in the guidance of his soul. Sri Aurobindo said, "Man has not been seen by the thought of India as a living body developed by physical nature. Instead, India has seen always in man the individual a soul, a conscious manifestation in nature of the universal self and spirit." Management today has become a need for harmony in things. With the development of technology, the world has become a global village. It has become too small to travel, and trade has expanded beyond limits. Man does not work or produces things just for himself, his family, near ones, or for the people of his country. He produces for the humanity with whom he is not even familiar, and so the necessity of management increases. Any area of work, any institution, industry, hotel, hospital, or home, management is required. Management is needed to manage various jobs, materials, money, methods, procedures, etc. And all this management is done by human beings. Balancing things for harmony. Management by harmony is to make a balance or symmetry between idea and action, dress and deeds, aspirations and accomplishment, procedures and presentation. Harmony between past, present, and future is required not only to think about past times but also to be careful about current times and also to be about upcoming. Better results through proper use of resources are the means of successful management. The absence of harmonious management results in misunderstanding, disorder, interruption, and delay. In one of the writings, Sri Aurobindo wrote a message. Orderly harmony and organization in physical things is a necessary part of efficiency and perfection, and makes the instrument fit for whatever work is given to it. Further, he adds, rules are indispensable for orderly and harmonized management of work. For without order and arrangement, nothing can be properly done. All becomes a clash, confusion, and disorder. The problem in nature is the result of lack in harmony. Besides the harmony between employee and the management, the harmony among ideas, expressions, and executions is also required. For this, it is required to avoid negative thoughts and expressions like anger and jealousy. Sri Ramakrishna talks about the growth of individual and says that it is a journey from kachi ambi unripe I to pakki ambi ripe I. Individuality or self-indulgence is compared to kachi ambi, where the person is not much mature and just thinks about the growth of himself, but the ripe I works in harmony with others and in cooperation and teamwork. Management by wisdom. The true wisdom is found in ancient scriptures, and if those scriptures will be forgotten, the next century managers will face extremely complex situations. While the decisions are mainly taken by the logical, analytical, and reasoning mind, whereas the Indian roots talk about the intuitive mind. So, the managers are required to work with both the reason and the intuition. Intuition is always an edge or ray of a superior light. Intuition has a fourfold power of truth seeking, truth hearing, truth touch, and a relation of truth to truth. Thus, the true wisdom is achieved by a blend of reason and intuition, the analysis with insight. The best decision making is a result of best intuitive abilities. Developing intuition. Nowadays, the management education is designing the courses to develop intuitive skills based on the ancient approaches of management, and thus improving the right brain skills with the analytical left brain skills, which is also beneficial to individuals in career advancement. Intuition can also be developed by practice, as the persons with challenge in their sight develop the sense of vision, even of the colors, by touching and feeling the intensity of hues. The supportive environment where the intuitive skills are valued also helps in developing the intuitive abilities that serve on focusing the thoughts within rather than in the external world. Management by freedom. Joy of work comes while working with freedom. Giving employees freedom to work also increases the feeling of trustworthiness. On the other hand, employees should not take this occasion of liberty to exploit or harm others by much self-indulgence, but the constructive growth of organization must also go hand in hand. Freedom at work. With freedom and power, responsibilities also come, and one must have the capability to fulfill those responsibilities properly, so that the individual and institution can flourish. Self-discipline is very important for the growth of individual, department, company, state, and of a nation. It is a symbol of freedom, and in contrast, indiscipline is a symbol of slavery. Bringing change consciously. Many organizations are nowadays going through transformation of bringing a change and developing more conducive environment to work. The managers or leaders are working selflessly in this direction. This change requires a more thought process for spreading happiness among each employee and can be known as conscious change leadership. This conscious change leadership is a movement towards self-awareness for effective transformation, as if they will not be aware of their self-working, how they will bring more qualitative change. The focus areas. While bringing change consciously, the focus should be on these three areas: content, people, and process. Content. It says that what in the organization is required to be changed, such as arrangement, scheme, methods, technology, machinery, or services. People. It includes the change in the mindset and thought process of individuals and their behaviors. The focus is given to work with values, emotions, commitment towards work, pleasing communication, and readiness to work. Process. It refers to the change in decisions or actions taken while planning, designing, and implementation of any task. Thus, being consciously aware, leaders put their focus for change towards content first. But just by bringing change in structure and technology, results cannot be achieved. Desired outcomes are created only when the people are satisfied with those content changes and optimize their utilization. Levels of consciousness. Leaders need to develop their 5 levels of personal consciousness, that is physical, emotional, intellectual, moral and spiritual. Let's understand the levels of consciousness and their characteristics. We should start from the lowest one, that is physical. It exhibits calmness at the time of disorder and determination among threats. Emotional level of consciousness creates employee and customer loyalty and treats people with dignity, displays pride in performance. Intellectual level of consciousness focuses on personal development with cooperation and novelty of ideas, exhibits bravery, accountability and initiative. Moral level of consciousness focus on employee nurturing and mentoring, exhibit empathy and make decisions by the power of intuition, exhibits honesty, enthusiasm and creativity. And final, spiritual level of consciousness is characterized by service to humankind, society and the universe. Focus is on values and ethics. In the first 2 levels of leadership, consciousness, the various working behaviors of a leader can be seen. These behaviors can be encountered in both healthy and unhealthy ways for organizational tasks. The unhealthy behaviors may result due to the fear of monetary insufficiency or due to the dissatisfaction towards safety and security, power and authority, or for respect and recognition needs. These favorable aspects of the physical and emotional levels of consciousness begin to dissolve at next intellectual level of consciousness, as the leader is now more mentally strong and is capable of managing the unwanted fears. The leader is able to access next level of consciousness when the mind and soul start working in unity. This is the level of strong will, with the leader is master in managing the fears, uncovers the truth of life and works with passion, creativity and through intrinsic motivation and not only from external motivation. Here, the soul gives the feeling of fulfillment to the leader by exploring its own creativity and working with uniqueness. The last level of consciousness makes a difference in the life of individuals and in the society and world as a whole. Furthermore, creating a difference turns out to be a way of life when the work is done with the spiritual aspect as a service to people, society, world and as the offerings to God. Thus, if this level of consciousness is achieved, the best way of managing things can be seen. So students, let's now summarize what we have studied in this module. The link between man's inner being and the outer events is the basis of consciousness approach. By changing the inner thoughts, the outer conditions can be changed. By providing freedom, harmony at workplace, and by leading through one's own actions, we can start managing things not only by reason but also through intuition, through soul and consciousness. By working consciously, people realize that their attitude and assumptions determine their outlook towards world, which determine how they believe, sense and perform, and which influences their assessment, accomplishments and outcomes. As a result, conscious change leaders work not just through the external approach but also through the internal approach of awareness, beliefs, and motivation. Their awareness grows by time. It spreads out to see more broadly and it pierces to see more deeply. They turn their attention inwardly, pursue self-awareness, and work outwardly through their best efforts. Thank you.